Why, hello, hello. It is Robbie from Southern California, and look at this. Isn't this amazing? Look at the size of the squash now. I have decided to go ahead and keep it. Oh, it's June 1st, and I'm going to go quickly through the garden, and I do hope it's quickly today because I want to get a lot of things done. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I went for the COVID vaccine. I got the Pfizer one. Gary got it. He's doing perfectly fine. Isn't that amazing? Me, I've had a few issues, so I'm going to probably take it easy for the next day or two. So we'll see what happens. But this has been amazing. I told you last time I was going to take that out. The only reason this is working and working so well and growing, it's so basically dried out, but it can pull enough through that long cord to continue now to have big zucchini is because of this. And do you know what that is? Yeah, I can't give this stuff away. Those are all papaya plants. I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with it, probably pull some of them out, stick them around the yard, and if they make it, they make it. I am going to change all this. I was planning on doing it this week, but I don't know. I'll have to see. Like I said, things kind of, I'm going to say the vaccine has slowed me down. I'll tell you because I know I'm going to be asked. First day I got it was perfectly fine. Let's walk through because I haven't done anything here, but look how green it is. This is stuff that's growing from last year. A lot of it's gone to seed, the lettuce. That's very valuable to me and to the birds. I leave it for the goldfinches. And then when they're done, I can take it, crush it, and it will grow me still tons of lettuce. And that's the purple tree colored in the bucket doing quite well. No, the first day I was perfectly fine. I was surprised because I'm allergic to flu shots. So they stopped giving me flu shots years ago. It was the second day while I was working on the computer, isn't this gorgeous, that I noticed I started to get I guess you could say chest pains and stuff a little bit. Isn't that beautiful? Last year's plant coming back. And then it went into my back as if somebody was stepping on it with a boot. Did get a little nervous. No, I didn't go to the doctor. My doctor told me, she called on Friday last week and told me if something happens, I have a weird reaction, there's not much they can do for me because they don't really know what to do. Isn't that comforting? So anyways, aspirin helped for me. I started with a half. I'm just going to walk through. Like I said, there's nothing new. You'll see there's nothing new except for I am putting this strawberry tower here and I'm going to finish it because it's a Lazy Susan and it spins. So I have one here and now in my rainbow garden. So after the half aspirin, I noticed how quickly it started to work within about 15 minutes. So I took the other half and I stayed on an aspirin regimen, which seemed to help until last night. I ended up with the weirdest stomach pains. Not from the aspirin. I'm not allergic to aspirin. I don't know. I think it's just the way my body's reacting to the flu, to the vaccine. But all in all, I'm still fine. Hasn't taken me down, really bad or anything. It's just these weird little side things I'm getting. And I so wanted to get into my potatoes. They're still in here. I've got to get them out before I lose them. You leave them too long, they'll rot. The onions I'm leaving, because those were the onions. You can barely see them, but look. Look, we'll see if they throw seeds or baby onions. Those are the ones that were all baby onions off of a top set of white onions, so there were seeds. But then there was a whole bunch of baby onions, so I planted those, and now I'll get to see what they look like, because now it's gone to flower. And then, of course, these two had cabbage, which are trying to make a comeback. But when it makes a comeback, it doesn't do that great, so I do want to take it all out, compost it, and get something new in here, and that's the turmeric, which I thought I pulled the whole thing out, and obviously I did not. That's tomatoes. See, tomatoes are everywhere. Stevia in the back and some walking onions. So I'm going to kind of go through here and see what I decide to do. So anyways, we'll see what happens next couple days because I'm very, very anxious. So see, the goldfinches are down there and they're already working the lettuce. That's why I leave it for them. They've been doing a lot of weed abatement, so there's not a lot of food for them. Let's zoom in for a minute and then we'll go back and we'll go straight into the front yard. So we got to see the goldfinch doing his thing, eating, and how important it is for them to have food, so I leave it for them too. I'm not losing anything. And now we're in the front yard. Look at this. This is what Gary built me. He's got his video up, and this is marvelous. Now, a lot of people I know might say, oh, this is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. Could you imagine somebody who wants to do this could build them and sell them? This whole thing, full price, the cement, cost them $60. Now you could fill this up and just use it just the way it is, plant in it. I wanted to put totes in it. You don't have to do it this way. You can use it as a raised bed. But here's what's fascinating about this. If you were moving, it might take you a little time. You can take the whole thing with you. You can take all your gardening with you. Your plants, of course, if you had soil straight in it, you know, you would maybe take the soil or leave the soil, but this unit goes with you. You can make it any size you want. Think of it. You want to do it like the size of one tote? You could do it any way you want. There's a lot of different designs you could do with it, but this has been magnificent. No matter what, this could be moved. It can be moved to another part of the yard. It doesn't matter, any way I want. But there it is. I had him make it. He said he was going to make it for 4 totes. So I've got 4 totes. They're all different types of zucchini in there. I think I've got a cocoselle and 1 black beauty. Then I've got some tomatoes growing in the middle. I thought it'd be really nice to have the tomatoes growing up above here. But isn't that fantastic? If somebody had time and wanted to sell these, I bet you think of the metal ones that they sell for hundreds of dollars, and they don't last. They do, galvanized steel breaks down. This will never break down. You can make them and sell them probably easy for $500. I would say easy. You could design it the way people wanted it, and you could make a business out of this. Here is my finger lime. And you can't see them because they're so small, but it is full of little finger lime. See there? Right there? That's them. And it is absolutely full of finger lime. I'm so excited. I'd like to try to grow some from seed. So we'll see what I'm going to do with that. And then it's just geraniums I'm sticking in pots around. Like I said, I haven't done anything much in here either except for the front, because I want to get my zucchini going. Now, here it's just purple tricolor. There's some dinosaur kale. There's some celery or parsley and different things going to seed. You can see nothing done here. I've got some walking onions in a pot back there. But now what I'm going to do very soon is start to add to it. These totes grew a ton of zucchini last year. So what I'm going to do is add a bunch of leaves to the top. They're all draining well. As long as they have good drainage, you could just add to it. Take as much as you can of leaf matter, fill it up, and then if I want, I can put some potting soil on the top. And if I don't want to do that, and don't forget kitchen scraps too, which is also leaf matter, but whatever else, eggshells and stuff, I could take from another tote. I could designate one of these totes and say, you know what, I'm going to use that as my potting soil. I'm going to use that as my topsoil. And I could do it that way, and then I could start one tote all over. So it's whatever way you want to do it and whatever way I may decide to do it. Here are more of my walking onions that are walking everywhere. These are nowhere near ready to pull. Now, could I pull them and plant them? Yes. I may lose some of them because they're so small, but you could do it at this size. But see this? This one is already growing another shoot. So if I leave it on the mother plant, I'll have more walking onions that I don't need. I'll have more, so I'm leaving it. I prefer to take them off when they start to fall. See what they're doing? They get top heavy, and then they fall, and theoretically they would fall to the ground, and then they would start to grow roots. If they don't touch the ground, they could dry out. The little bulbils, these little tiny, here, you can see them better here. These little tiny things are not really storable. They will dry out. Some of them are bigger. They'll be all different sizes. So you really do, in our climate, want to help them or you'll lose them. I'm sure I lose quite a few every year, and there's some mint through there too. But that's how they're doing it, but they're not ready. I would say in about a month, probably in about a month, when the stem turns brown, see there's nothing on this one. That's when you definitely want to get them off. Here's some that are bigger. See how big they are? See how they're all different sizes. You can eat them. I mean, I can pull them off and eat them. But once the stem snaps, and then what happens is the plant starts to release it by just drying up, and then they'll grow. But look how many top sets this one's got. Look at this. Look how many. This is going to have a whole bunch. I don't remember having a year where I've had this many. They're all over the yard, just everywhere. That's a lot of walking onions. Walking onions are not bunching onions. They're not spring onions. They're not green onions. They are completely different in their own family. I think they were hybrids and they were made to do this. See, here's one that should come off. It is too young because they would have gotten bigger, but they may not have developed enough. It would be worth it just to take them off. Oh, I see what happened. It's from the top. So this one dried up. Something happened to it. I could still try it, but if there's nothing in there, this won't work. But that's what happens to it on the plant. The stem dries up, and that's when it's a good time to take it off. But that's actually still double, so I still have this. And maybe this one was sucking so much from it. It's hard to say why this one stopped. But whatever reason it did. It could have gotten burned by the sun too. See, there's more up there. So walking onions are completely in their own family. If somebody tries to sell you seeds, don't buy them. They're not seeds. And there's some more sitting there. I'm going to start just picking them at the right time and stuffing them everywhere like I did last year. I put them in there. Mine here walk twice a year. I still have to get through all this. And of course I don't throw soil away because Gary had this wall he was making, and he took those totes and he dumped them in these floral pots. So I want the soil. So I probably will use the soil for my zucchini. And I'm going to move some of this mint. I have a place I want to put it. And that's it, more mint. There's some geranium back there. Look at the tomato plant. I think I showed you that. But look at this. Looky, looky. I covered it with tulle because many things will take my blueberries. I'm excited over 2 blueberries. It's not just the 2 blueberries. I ate one the other day. I want to see if I can get it to stay on the plant long enough to develop some seeds, and maybe I can grow some of the seeds. I don't know. But this variety is doing pretty good. And though it's, it's not planted in the best conditions. It should be in its own big pot and cater to a little bit more, and I probably would get blueberries, and maybe next year I'll cater to it. This one's not doing that good, but we'll see what happens as time goes on. This one just started to grow. I mean, they looked really bad when I first started. Let's see. So I want to try to get some seeds and see if I can do something with that. And here's probably a broccolini coming up. That's basically it for the front yard. Celery in here. And this is a broccoli plant that I did not pick the broccoli. And then that's what happens when you don't pick the broccoli. You end up with seeds. Cool? You know what? We'll drop it over here. I'll never remember I did it, but that's okay. Oh, they got caught in the cobweb. Not anymore. If you don't pick them, they turn into flowers and then they turn into seeds. The goldfinches will come and eat that too. And that's perfectly fine with me. I've got a lot of broccolini, you'll see. More walking onions, gorgeous. And then of course the little brick cement wall here with a bunch more walking onions that are now starting to walk. These were baby walking onions I shoved in there, and they're walking all over. Got to get rid of the tulle. I pulled that down because I had it over there last year covering my zucchini, and I don't want to just throw it away. Even though it's tearing and it's old, it's not the front one, but this one, you can put that on around pots. Like if you have pots with plants and something's bothering it, you can bunch it in, use it like a mulch, and just put it around the base of the plant. That will deter a lot of critters too. So I just kind of threw it here because I got to get it off the stakes. I had zip tied it onto the stakes, and I had this whole area like a cage around it. See, backside of the table with more walking onions. This is where Gary's going to come back and work soon. And he picked that up in the trash. Isn't that cool? I'm not sure if I'm going to plant on that bench type chair or what I'm going to do with it. Nothing yet. I've got too many other things to do. I have not gotten to my ginger or turmeric yet. This is shame on me, and I was hoping to do it, but it kind of got slowed down a little bit. So I'm going to get to it quick. The only things I've planted are the black turmeric, which have not started yet. They're there. They must be getting bigger because they look like they're bigger. There's one here. Here I'm color coding, and then this one I didn't color code, but it's marked with my tote lid stakes. So this is doing really, really well. But here, and then of course here I did put some of the turmeric. You saw me pull it out. I was curious. I pulled out one pot and I thought I was just going to put it back when I dumped it and showed you guys. Well, it turned out it's enough to plant probably 6 or 7 pots. So we ate some of it. I've got it in the house. I put 2 more here, and I'm going to plant some more, but it's down there. So I've got this planted, and turmeric is orange, so I put it in orange buckets. But I decided, since I don't have enough orange buckets, and I don't have an orange tote lid, but I do have pink, so I can spot it, will be turmeric and that light, they call it scuba green sterolite. I'm using their totes. That's going to be my ginger, but I hope I can get to this quick. But see how the pots are they're being bent up because they're so full of either ginger or turmeric, and they're all starting to come up everywhere. This is ginger, it hasn't come up yet. Ginger poking up on the top. My stevia is coming in now. The weather is starting to warm. We're going to be warm today, and like I think I already showed you all down here, but then we're going to cool off again. So I don't know what's going to be. So it has to stay at least 60 degrees for a lot of plants. Squash, cucumbers, tomatoes like it's 60, but they can go under. Certain plants like it's 60 degrees, watermelon, and so do your, tropical plants like your ginger and turmeric. Once your nights are 60 degrees, they will take off. Let's go into the yard. So I've got to get them moved, and I hope to do it very soon. Yes, walking onions everywhere. Isn't that gorgeous? I hope to get a lot off, but none of them have started to fall yet. See, the only tips that are brown, they don't have onions on it, so they're not ready. They're just not ready to be picked yet, and like I said, I would lose more than half probably if I picked them now, and I'm in no hurry to pick them. Nothing new. I still have to get to this. I'm going to probably put zucchini. I'm not sure if I'll put some broccoli in here. Again, it's my garden. I can decide what I want. I've got way in the back, you never see oregano. See back here? That's oregano. That's like my first oregano. I think I've got all the oregano on the property from that one. Celery, see what happens when celery goes to seed? This is right now just has pollen. It's just starting. So you see the dust on it? This is what hummingbirds eat. See that? That's what the hummingbirds eat. The pollen that's coming off of that. They don't eat the seeds, but the other birds will come in and eat the seeds once the seeds develop. Lemon verbena, that's the big purple tree colored that's falling over. That one I bought on eBay. See, it never developed a big trunk. Some of them will develop a massive trunk. The stalk is too tight. I can see it dried, so it never expanded. That's why it's falling over, but you can get a lot of tree collards off of that. And that I've been very happy with. I can do cuttings, and I've been placing cuttings all over the place. And then again, more lemon verbena. I've got my dragon fruit back there. It hasn't started to fruit yet, as far as I know, but it is, as you can see, going everywhere. So I hope I'll have fruit soon. Oh, this is being chewed up by the birds. I've been watching them come, and what do they want? The best part, the top. Now, I could stop this by just throwing some tulle on top, even half of it. And I just haven't done it yet, but we'll see what I'm going to do when I get in here. I haven't done anything yet. Here's these 3 totes. They're probably 6 years old. More walking onions on the top, lemon verbena. More walking onions back here, all pregnant and having babies. Look at that. And then, yeah, there's a little bit of black fly on that. See why that has black fly? See the black fly? It doesn't really hurt anything. You can wipe it off with your hands because it's in the shade. Black fly doesn't like it dry and hot, or the sun on it. It really doesn't like it with a lot of sun. So if that was somewhere else, that's why the other ones here do not have any black flies. See how beautiful it is? It's a type of aphids. It doesn't bother me. I can wipe it off. It hasn't killed anything, so I don't worry about it. And I see the bush tits come in, and they pick the black fly off, so I just leave it. So that's that. Again, all this, I've been trying to go around and pick off all the yellowing leaves, because this to me is very valuable, and this is going to build up my soil in there. All right, let's keep walking through. Like I said, I haven't gotten in here. I want to tear this all apart. I want to have this like feeding stations for birds that are coming in, because we have like 55 to 60 varieties of smaller birds. I'm not talking about hawks or crows or ravens, and I want to cater to them a little bit. So I want to clean this up, and I'm still thinking, because I'm still working on my rainbow garden. So I'm looking on how I want to do that, and of course hummingbirds come in here too, and I love my solar fountains. I want to kind of change some of them up a little bit, clean them up a little bit. You know, you don't have to go fancy on a solar fountain. The rock one back there, which is nothing more than the pump and a rock, a few rocks in there. Oh, look at the goldfinch right next to it. You probably can't see it. Just eating away the purple tree. Oh, she ate the whole thing. Anyways, that's been one of the birds' favorite. That's simple. It doesn't even have to be fancy. Let's take a look and see what she's doing. So now you saw what they do. They come in and they eat the greens. That's what they like. And you know what? It's fine with me. I have so much here. Everything you see is edible except for the geranium. So I'm perfectly fine with that. Oh, and then they come in afterwards and they take a drink. They go to that little simple fountain I found in the trash. It was electric, and we changed it to solar. And that's a song sparrow sitting there with looks like a female goldfinch or a young goldfinch. And they don't really seem like they get along that well, but all she wanted was a drink, and I think the song sparrow wanted to take a bath. Anyways, let's get back here. Like I said, I haven't done anything. This is spearmint coming up all over the place. This is some old, well, this is collard, but it's not, I think this isn't this isn't the original. This collard is just from seeds off my original collard. I have one more original collard plant left in here that's probably about 6 years old. That's one of the birds' favorite. They love the sphere, the round balls, but I'm now making them out of styrofoam. And if you make them, I've got the video, don't use floral foam. That is not the same thing at all. Floral foam crumbles. Though some people say it's toxic and some people say it's not toxic, it crumbles and they drink the water too. Styrofoam is fine. Think of it. You go to a restaurant or something, they give you coffee in styrofoam cups. Styrofoam is okay to use, so stick with styrofoam. This is a regular tree collard, and in the back here, it's very poor quality. That's the original collard, just plain collard back there. But I've gotten seeds from that, so we've gotten a lot of baby plants from it. And then over here, you can see I've got more walking onions growing in this old tote I've had, one of my original totes. This is orange mint with walking onions, and there's a cutting in there of a tree collard. And then here is my lemon balm I separated. Look at all, I mean, everywhere you look, you're gonna see walking onions, because I've been picking them up all last year when they, like I said, they go twice a year. So probably about 6 months ago when they had a bunch of baby walking onions, I started shoving them all over, so they're coming up everywhere. Celery is going to seed. There's celery down here, more walking onions. Of course, more walking onions. And then more walking onions. I took apart that old fountain. I'm changing it around. Sweet potato. I don't even know what's in there, but I'm sure there's sweet potato in there. I haven't looked to see what's in there. And then again, this was like a nursery. Look at this. Look at this. Just full of walking onions. But as you can see, they're not ready yet. The stalk is still nice and green, which means the young walking onions that are on the top are going to grow and get really big, which is good. The bigger they are, the better they are. And then I've got some old sage back there, and there's garlic chives, and I stuck in some walking onions back there. And then, of course, the chocolate mint I've got here, and there is the strawberry mint here we don't use. This little wrinkly looking leaf, that is strawberry mint. That's got the brown stalk, glossy, beautiful green leaves. That's the chocolate mint. And then again here, this is some hybrid, probably mixed with dazzling blue kale and maybe dinosaur kale or collard. And then more walking onions. Let's see. There's your dazzling. This is a pure dazzling blue kale. Isn't that beautiful? And it has gone to seed, so it's been dropping plants, and this is what we're ending up with, different types of plants. I've got a tomato that came up from seed. Look at this. I better pick that and eat that for dinner tonight. And then my eggplants are starting to make a comeback. More tree collards I've got in here. Lemon verbena over there. And that is, those flowers, they come up like weeds. They're 4 o'clocks. The hummingbirds like them. And then I've got a tree collard, just a plain green one in there. I haven't done anything in here, see? More eggplant. I stuck a cutting in here. Figured if it grows, it grows. Purple tree collard. And again, nothing done in here yet. I want to come in here and devote a lot of time in here. Just stuff, see? And there's more chocolate mint back here. Let's go through the gates. More walking onions back there. I hope I'm not swinging you around too much. And of course the papayas. Look at that. These are the small ones. They're small strawberry papayas, not like the big ones we got, which are the Mexican papayas out the gate here. Look at this. Haven't planted anything. This is all last year's plants. Look at this. Needs a good trimming. Maybe add in some leaves on the bottom and rot some leaves and do some compost tea, and this plant will take off. This is my walking cane. Look at this. I can go hiking with this. Isn't that cool? That's what I told Gary. Look at this. And you know what that is? That's my old tree collard that didn't make it. All right, let's go through the gates so you can see what's going on here. Let's see, what do we do first? Let's walk through the papayas. We have too many papayas. Gary's freezing some. We have given some to the neighbors. We gave some to my daughter. My son-in-law said he made a salsa with it, so that was interesting. Now I've just got nothing here. I mean, I haven't done anything. It's just those test squash seeds I put in there. There's too many in there, and they're going to choke themselves out. I don't know what they are. They're going to be a hybrid of something. I may compost them in and maybe get some tomatoes. The squirrels come through here. They live through here. And it's a good place for them to hide. You know, when you give a lot of shelter to a lot of critters you don't want, oh, look at the flowers all over the pomegranate tree. Anyways, then they can come out and they happen like the birds to like the squash leaves. So you can see the leaves are chewed. I could easily stop it by putting a couple stakes around there and some tulle. But being that it's not that important to me, I'm thinking more of growing tomatoes in there because a lot of your squirrels and critters like that don't eat tomatoes. So they will leave the tomatoes alone. So that's a good choice for here because they're up against the rosemary. Look at that. Years ago, I planted 3 rosemary here. There's one there, there's one there, and there's one further down. I'll walk over there. I'll show you. I had no idea they get that big. I got it at the 99-cent store, and they were in these big flower pots. They must have had some sort of clearance thing. See, there's the other rosemary. And they're massive. That's why I don't need to grow any more rosemary, but I still might grow some for my pizza garden just for fun. They just got big. But see, I've got all this shelter here. So the squirrels, and we know the rabbits, we have a lot of rabbits this year, will live here and they come out and eat. And what they eat, see, I put a tomato here. They won't touch a tomato. They're not interested in eating the tomatoes. Rarely will you see anything eat tomato leaves because of, well, they're basically somewhat toxic to some animals, not tomato hornworms. I have seen a bird nibble at leaves. I'm not sure why, but those trichomes, that's the fuzz on it. It secretes something and a lot of critters don't like it. So that's why I'm thinking, go tomatoes here. Got a tomato cage I'm not using. Might as well just load it up with leaves, put a little bit of soil or grab some native soil. Tomatoes sometimes aren't even that picky, and go for it. So I'm probably going to have tomatoes here soon. This is just a place we compost. You know, we take the leaves off the plants like this and just drop it in. And water in there. That's a trash can or some sort of barrel Gary found once, and he cut it in half. And this takes care of this massive plant because they're heavy feeders. But when I water in there, the microbes, the earthworms are breaking those leaves down, and it's automatically feeding these papayas. And that's why every papaya's got a tote by it. I don't have to buy any plant food. Nature feeds it for me. Well, I was going to show you strawberries, but it's okay. My grandkids came over yesterday to visit and ate up every strawberry that was red on there, and that's good. No pesticides, completely clean of that, and they absolutely loved it. Squash. I cannot believe, this is what's being noisy, my fountain here. I cannot believe how much squash we're picking off of this. Now, this is kind of a mistake. See how the leaves are a little bit yellow? No matter what I do, I'm going to have an issue with this, and I'm still debating on what I'm going to do because these are 2 full-size zucchini plants in there. They got really big. They absolutely love the environment because everything's breaking down in there and warm, so they don't realize it's been cool at night, and they're growing like mad, but they're competing. They killed the mustard that was in there because they took all the nutrients from the mustard, which is fine. But I really should yank one out, or the other option is let it do its thing, get some more seeds going, and as soon as I think they've had enough, compost them, take them out, compost them, and put a new plant in there. But I'm not doing anything right now because, like I said, I've been picking zucchini, and I already have another one back here. And then you'll see, look at this. Now see what happens when you have one plant, even though, let me tell you something, the one I pulled off of that was probably bigger than this one. But look at this. I don't want them that big. I just didn't feel like zucchini the past few days, so I left it. I've got to get that thing off today. It's massive in a tote. Don't let anybody tell you you can't grow in a tote. These totes are, what are they, about 17 gallons? They're not that big. So let me see, I don't have any labels on them. And I should know this. Like I said, I haven't been thinking lately since I got the vaccine. Oh, I'll look over here and I'll tell you for sure. Because like I said, normally I know. 18 gallons. 17 gallons are these black things. That's right. These tubs we're getting, those are 17 gallons. And that one is, these are all 18-gallon Sterolite totes. You can use any you want, but I love Sterolite because I love their lids. Their lids are perfect to cut apart and make steaks out of. So anyways, that's that. But like I said, oh gosh, I didn't realize there were 2. I haven't been paying attention. Oh my gosh, look at the size of this. I've got this, I didn't even pay attention. I've been coming out here just trying to get everything watered. These things literally grow overnight. You blink and they grow. I got 2 massive ones. Had I had one plant in there, they would have been just as beautiful and green as possible, like that. But being that they're fighting with each other, I could move it, but they're so big I don't know if it'll make the move. I mean, it's worth a try. And then here I've got tomatoes. Here's, like you said, here. Oh, wait a minute. This is not the same one. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, I guess I see zucchini bread in my future and tons more fruit in there. Oh, there's another fruit down here. I really need to pay attention. Like I said, I've been out of it for a few days, so I just come out here, do what I have to do, and go back in the house. My bok choy went to seed, and I'm going to collect the seeds. Look at that. This has been really fun to grow. Didn't even take much effort at all. There's a mustard who is fine because there's no zucchini in there or squash. And then onions, I can't believe this is so nice to be able to come out and pick a giant onion when you want. They are massive. They're all through here. I don't know if you can see. See if I can get the camera in there. You see that back there? Look at this. Full of onions. And Gary, of course, has onions in his garden. Some in the ground, some in totes. And then again, another zucchini. I've got my rose bush. I've got to get my rose bush out. That was the little cutting you saw. It's getting big. I can just lift it out. It's in its own pot. More mustard. This is the lettuce seed I leave for the birds. And like I said, it won't matter. When they're done with it, the bush tits come and eat any insects on there. The goldfinches come and eat the seeds because the goldfinches prefer the seeds. Bush tits eat insects. Then I will crumble it. I'll dry it and I'll crumble it in and I'll get all the leftover lettuce seeds that they missed. This is asparagus. I want to see what happens to this next year. So I'm just letting it do its thing. That's my nursery. Let's walk on the other side of the umbrella here. I ended up with 100 tomato plants I can't get rid of. But they are doing good. And I think I peeked in here this morning and I see the zucchini that came up has got zucchini on it. There's more than that. So I'm going to have to do something. These plants love these totes. I've done a video on this. It's warm to touch. They don't realize it's cold at night, so I'm now starting some seeds here. Now, when I tell you I do seeds this way, I did buy these seeds. These are speckled tomatoes. I used this right now. I threw 7 seeds in here, and a few of them are starting to come up. These are a mix of peppers. When I say a mix of peppers, eating dinner at night, taking some of the seeds out, throwing it in just a food container, and leaving it. This has been sitting since last year. I'm now sprinkling them in there. Whatever grows, I can move. That's the way I do it. The other way you could do it is push a ring in, take a food container, cut the bottom out, push a ring in, and then plant in the center and water it gently. But this has been the greatest nursery, and that's why I'm making another one, because that's what that is, a nursery. I don't have to grow it in the house unless I want to. I did some of those. Actually, these were grown in the house. Not this one. Oh, that's not smashed. This is a delicious tomato. I had the seeds since 2010. So those I did do in the house. I brought them out here. I'm going to leave them out here. And let me tell you why. This one I picked up because I have other tomatoes back there in pots. This is another delicious. I took this one out over a week or 2 ago and I brought it out here because I took it off my windowsill. And I sat it in here. Look at the size of this. And look at the size of this. Same plant, same size. By being out here in this tote where it's warm, the plant has taken off. The ones that I just brought out the other day are just starting to grow. So this has worked out like it's like an incubator. It's a grow box. It's whatever you want to call it. It works out fantastic. So that's what's going on in the rainbow garden. I'm going to clean this up probably today or tomorrow. That's the other one I'm going to plant seeds in. Now this one's got more shade. So we'll see what happens over this, but I think it'll be fine because our days are going to start getting warmer and warmer. So I don't want to cook my seeds. I want them just to grow. Like I said, I'm kind of starting to figure out how you didn't see the pizza garden, how I'm going to do that because I am crazy about this. This has been phenomenal. These plants took off so fast. All I have to do is water the top. And then this yellow bucket waters those 2 red buckets, and any water that's left in that, remember my soil is rich, it's full of leaves and matter from the garden, waters those buckets on the bottom. So the yellow bucket waters the 2 red buckets, this red bucket waters those 2 buckets, And that red bucket, well, that oregano is real happy because he's getting water from the red bucket too. Both red buckets. And then, of course, I've got the lettuce. I had to cover the lettuce because there's a rabbit that lives here. What else is in? Oh, I've got some onions in here, walking onions. Oh, here's my thyme. That's what I'm growing in here. But you know, that's not bad because the thing looked like it was almost dead. And then I've got some basil back there. So I've got tomatoes in the red ones. I've got peppers I started on the top. And then I've got sage in the orange. Then I've got my cutting. Look at my tricolored sage cutting, who is very happy in here. If you saw it on the last garden tour, it was a little tiny thing way down there. Look at that, look at that. Isn't that cool? And then, of course, like I told you, the oregano. And then here I'm going to have to decide what peppers I want. This I really don't want. Let me show you something. Keep in mind, this soil you make in buckets, the way I do it in buckets and totes, is so rich. This is what happens when you take some cuttings from rosemary that you got. You saw the rosemary. Yep. See how it busted the bottom and came through? I don't want the rosemary here. I'm leaving it because it's a happy rosemary. All those cuttings took off and grew because that bottom had microbes and nutrients and everything in here, and they want it. So I'm going to give them their own buckets or do something else. I don't know. Like, I don't need rosemary, but that is just too cool. Maybe I'll put some rosemary on my deck. And then, of course, I've got all the garlic, and there's some blueberries in there, which I'm going to have to move because they're not getting enough sun. But I think I dropped a little basil in here, so I'll have some basil in there. I'm going to change this. I have a really good idea for a water feature. And then this is the sage that Gary hasn't taken yet. There's 2 sage plants in there. This is just sitting in the bucket. It's in its own pot. And my potato mint. Got my potato. Don't need the lid on here. Let me move this. I have not gotten to this yet. Don't worry. I'm going to let you know how we're going to do this. This is fabulous. I'm going to change that container. It's going to be a different container. I'm going to have another chair set up. Isn't that cool? I love the vertical garden. It's just the way I put that together. You have to see the video. That is so stable. They're notched and then they're locked in with tomato stakes. You could use rebar if you want or something else. And let me tell you, let's go back here real quick. I'm going to finish up another video on this so I can explain it. The reason I like the tomato stakes that are in here is because you can make the tomato stakes longer. You've seen me do it. I can attach another tomato stake to this and it can go up as high as I want. So that's why that was the other reason I use the tomato stakes, because it's just fabulous. I'm just so excited with it. More strawberries, more garlic in buckets. Like I said, this is the potato mint. It was yellow for a while, but I realized it's because of the cold nights, because boy, it's starting to come back green now. So it is turning into a really happy camper. And then of course we're getting strawberries. That's awful white. No. Oh my goodness. Let me see. Oh, you know, my daughter came over and asked me the other day, because these are all my old strawberry plants. She asked me yesterday, what happened to the white strawberry I got you, the pineapple one? I told her it died. I had them growing in the chair garden. This whole unit are only the strawberry plants that I grew in my yard. That are the new ones I bought, the bare root ones. And this may be the plant she asked me about. She said, you know it's it because the strawberry stays white, but the seeds get really red. I'm going to tell her, I found it. I told her it died. Isn't that cool? I didn't know that. That might be it. So we'll see. I'll know in a couple days. See, these don't turn red. See, here's another one. These are the regular ones. These are Seagates. See how the fruit is white, but the seeds, see how the seeds are just kind of a brownish green? Here's another one. See? They're brown. I guess I'm going to have to tell her that one lonely little plant that I told her died did not die. That's what she said. She said, well, you'll know it because the fruit will be white and the seeds get really, really red, and that's when it's done and ready. Cool. I'll tell her I still have it. Okay, let's walk over to the cucumbers. This is the other one I put together, doing quite well. Oh, let me show you. This is my favorite broccolini plant. I'm still not sure why they're different. I may have planted 2 different types. I see a hummingbird. He's picking around the pizza garden. Let's see if we can see him. See, can you see him? He's flying around. Anyways, this one is growing tons and tons of spears. I'm going to slice a lot of this off today. Take them off way down and then just put them in a frying pan, a little butter, and saute them. That's going to be fantastic. This is regular broccoli, I believe, and I took the head off. By taking the head off, I have forced it into doing side shoots. But this is different. There is no head on that one. So that one is true broccolini. That one looks like it's more broccoli. Now this one's not doing anywhere as good as this one. See, they all grow different. I do have some small shoots coming up, but this is my favorite. So I'm gonna either have to figure out if that's the one I bought from Baker Creek, because I bought broccolini from Baker Creek, or is it just an oddball that came up when I planted them all? And I might do cuttings and save that. But you know who loves broccoli? Let's see. Let's just get her a small one right now. I'll put it in my pocket. And I'll bring it in and give it to Kitty, my Yorkie. Look at this. Isn't it? See, even though there's two in there, they are still producing and still really green. But it really is too much. So if you want to do something that big, I would do one zucchini. You might be able to get away with 2 watermelon. Look at the size of these. Look at the size of these. I don't want them that big. The whole idea was to pick them smaller. Oh well. When they're this big, they make a really good zucchini bread. I like the smaller ones to slice it with butter in a frying pan. Okay, let's walk over to the cucumbers. I've stayed too long. I love this place. I can't wait till I finish it up or get it a little bit more done and clean it up so I can get back to my craft table. All right, nothing done here yet because here I'm going to change the whole thing. Cucumbers, we have been picking cucumbers. Same thing. They thought it was warm at night and they just took off. Absolutely amazing. I'm not sure if there's any cucumber. Oh, there's cucumbers left. These are the pickling cucumbers, and I want to get enough of them to pickle. I guess I can slice them up. So that I didn't even know that one's on there that big. I picked some, like I said the other day. Cucumbers hide. You'll go in there, you'll look around, you can't find any. You'll go the next day and you didn't know it was under a leaf. So we have cucumbers. Fantastic. Gary built this. He did the rebar. He bent the rebar, and then he hung a couple rebar hooks for me. And what I did was just take some plain old yarn, and it works for me. Just plain old yarn, and I'm stringing it across, which is guiding it up. So I've got more string here. I like yarn. And if you lose it, most of them is cotton. They eventually just break down into the soil. So it's doing really, really well. Well, I'm really happy. And there is a watermelon. There's 2 cucumbers in there, 3 cucumber plants in there. There are some peas in there, so the peas are growing somewhere among everything. But one of them in here, I have a watermelon. That's why there's 2. And it's in there. I saw it. I don't know if it's got... This is the watermelon plant. That's the watermelon plant. So it's getting up there, and I hope it takes over. I can always cut back some of the cucumbers if I want. Look at it, just loaded with cucumbers. Is that cool? Look at that, it's just loaded with cucumbers. See, this is a female cucumber flower. See the cucumber? Just like squash, and this is a male. And you have to have both, or you won't have a good-sized cucumber. It will just stop. It won't get any bigger. So you have male and female. This one looks like... No, it's got 2 females on the same thing. But see, males have no cucumber underneath. Keep in mind the squash do the same thing. If you see flowers and nothing underneath, that's just the base of the flower. That means it's a male. When you see the little thing there, here's another one here. That's a female flower, and it's got to get pollinated. Ants pollinate too, so don't worry about the few ants that are climbing around. They pollinate. Oh, see, these are the peas. And they're going to come up and they're going to grow too. So everything is doing really good. I'll have to see if I can find enough cucumbers to do a simple pickle. And then I've got some squash down on the bottom, and I've got the tomatoes. I'm going to guide the tomatoes up that way. And again, yeah, they're from all the tomatoes growing everywhere. This is just a new seedling I brought out. That's basically it. And this is just my dipper. So, whoops. And I water it. I can water and just grab some water out of a bucket. Real simple, easy to make, works. That thing's over a year old. All right, see, look at the tomatoes. I've already got flowers. Okay, so what else is going on here? More walking onions that I threw in there last year. They're walking too. Nothing in here. I just sat that there on that cage top I made because I haven't gotten to this. That's last year's walking onions. See, collecting weeds, nothing in here. Just nothing. This is that zucchini I literally pulled out, that big one. Almost no roots. My daughter told me, she came over and she said a few weeks ago, that thing's almost dead. And I said, no, I just pulled it out. I don't want to touch it. I want to leave it alone, let it reset roots. I don't want to trim anything. And it has, isn't this gorgeous? This is one happy plant. There's the new fruit starting right there. Female flower is going to open. Isn't that cool? So that is the one I moved out of one of the other totes because 2 were too many. These are seedlings that were planted out here. This is a squash my daughter brought me. This is not supposed to be here. I don't even know how this got in here. This is a whole clump of some sort of squash. And it's in here, and I got to get it out. But let me see. I don't have a I do have a stake. There it is. The 2 big ones are called Scallop Squash. My daughter bought it. And she had extras. She brought me this one and this one. That's coming out today or tomorrow. I haven't pulled it out yet. Like I said, I've been a little slow, but I also want to know, maybe I want to just throw them in here and let them do its thing before I pull them out and compost them. So I'm thinking, but it's going to have to come out fairly quick because it will interfere with the growth of the other ones because it's just too much in there. Look at this. These are the gray zucchini. Notice the leaves are gray. So now I know why they call them gray. Look how beautiful they are. They're silver mottled, and then I've got tomatoes I'm spotting around. That one I believe is a Black Beauty. Notice it's green. And then I was just looking, there was a lizard back there. And then here's another of the gray ones. There's some garlic chives. That's what I was going to point out. Just layering, putting flower pots in there so I can water the garlic chives. If I went through here, I could water the garlic chives and not even worry about the zucchini, and they'll get the water running out. Here's another one. No fruit yet that I see. Oh, you know what? Here it comes right there. Garlic chives, moringa. Where's the other? There's the other moringa starting. You can see it there. Here, this is last year's tomato, and I'm starting to string it around that way. I need to clean it up. I haven't cleaned it up. So I'll see, unless I get a taller one. Gary had that extra rebar, so I just snatched it. Walking onions, and these, as you can see, are more gray squash. They're supposed to be very similar to zucchini. They say they have a nuttier flavor. And that's basically it. Nothing new over here. I could tell you a story, but I don't have any footage because I didn't have my camera with me. My daughter came over and the kids and her husband, and we were all in the yard, and the Cooper hawk, who's got a nest up there with babies, flew down and he landed here on the ground. And he walked over to us and analyzed us because he knows me. It was so cute. He knows exactly who I am, but he wasn't sure who they were. And he stood there for about 5 minutes looking at us. And she said, what is he doing? I said, I think he's sizing us up if it's safe. He then decided it was safe. He ran back over here, jumped into the bathtub, and took a bath. So funny. He just wanted to make sure it was safe. And then he left. Here is this. I want to get some of this algae, this, I don't know what Gary calls it. It's hair algae. I want to get that off, and I'll probably compost it. Should be really cool compost. He just told me before I pull it out to look for dragonfly nymphs because they live in it. But I want to get them out. This is chia seed. Is that cool? And let me tell you something. I don't have to take care of it or anything. It's just there. I threw some chia seeds there, and they just took off and grew. And that's a lot of my pomegranates. So he's still working here. We haven't really done anything here yet. The rest of it is weeds. I've thrown some succulents around there. So we'll see. And that's my little cement hummingbird I made. If you want to know how, maybe I'll show you how I made it. That's amazing. Just sitting out here doing great. And then that's it. The truck bed is on its way out. Oh, the Swiss chard has died back. It's just gone to seed now. The old squash from last year is still laying in there because I didn't use it. And if I don't pull it out, it's going to reseed itself, so I don't know yet what I'm going to do. I really want to spot buckets in here. I think that will be the best thing to do, but I'll see when I get to it. Haven't got to it yet. And the chair garden, I haven't done anything in here. So that's basically the end of it. I haven't done anything. I still have lettuce growing. I could move some of the lettuce. But see, it's been in here so long that even the little lettuce is trying to go to seed. Oh, and oh, look at this. I've even got a pepper starting here right now. So I'll clean this up, and this is another rose cutting. I told you how I do it. You can do it right in the tote. You can do it in pots, whatever way you want. See, this is a lot of leftover from last year. This is a popolo that lasted all year, but I don't know what's going to do. Now, this was sitting over by the papayas. And I told you the squirrels were munching on it. So what I did, and the rabbits, I just lifted the whole pot because it was in a flower pot. And now it's already going back to seed. Well, seed. It's going back to flower. And it's making a beautiful comeback. So I might actually leave it there. Put some maybe leaf matter and kitchen scraps around it. Put some more potting. So I'll leave it in the pot and just let it do its thing. Which again is layering. I water that. It will take care of whatever's in there. And I could decide if I want to leave the celery or not. See how big this celery is? The celery is what takes up the totes. So keep that in mind. Celery will grow really good in a bucket or a flower pot. When you put them in a tote, they get massive and they take from everything else. And then I've got another pepper from last year trying to make a comeback. It looks like there's some sort of broccoli or something down there. And then this is the tomatoes that I told you I have to take out. I don't know. These are really nice tomatoes. And see, remember, the leaves, just toss them back. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might layer it and put a small pot in the corner there full of leaves and stuff from the garden and kitchen scraps, and just put a pot back there, and that will feed the whole tote, and then just let it be. I've got a walking onion back there. These are just tomato plants coming up everywhere. Again, they just love the totes. Notice they don't grow as big as the new totes. The new totes, see, there's more coming up as the weather's warming. The new totes that were staying really warm, the plants, the seeds just grew massive. And here, they're going by nature, where it's just barely starting to get warm now as our weather's starting to change. We're supposed to change. I saw a couple nights went back down into the 50s. Look at that, beautiful, isn't that gorgeous? So this is again from last year. This I have nothing in. So when I do this one, freshen this one up, I'll show you exactly how I'm going to do it. Again, I haven't done anything in here. There's still old stuff growing in here. More walking onions. You know, I stick walking onions everywhere. And again, old tomatoes, and yet they're still trying to grow. Look at this, I've got tomatoes growing. And then again, this is all sow thistle, which I will take out and be, you know, really serious about here. I'm not sure what I'm going to plant in here. It's kind of been left alone, poor thing. I don't come and enjoy myself in here. I probably should put a lot of watermelon in here. Watermelon did fantastic. It gets so much sun this time of the year. Look how beautiful the sky is. It gets sun from morning till night right now. In the winter, it doesn't. It sits under the pepper tree in the shade. But it gets out so much that I could get, well, squash. You saw it last year, like the ones that like torpedoes. Tomatoes love it here. Sun-loving plants. And I really should concentrate on a lot of watermelon, because that is one thing that is so nice to grow. I could spot through watermelon and every other one. I haven't started my watermelon seeds. I only started the one, and I planted that one out with the cucumbers that are down there. So now I've got to get some more watermelon. Isn't that beautiful? That's going to be just beautiful and green soon. And see, I put some geraniums in the front. I really should do a few more because they're not taking from anything or bothering anything. These totes have to have holes up. And some of the holes are as far up as 2 inches. You can see how far up they are. And the reason is I've got pine trees up there. I've got pepper trees all over, and they get their roots into my totes. If you have a gopher problem, you can be growing in storage containers and you won't have a gopher problem. You got a root problem, same thing, grow in storage containers. I don't care how big your property is. These things will eliminate your plants. I could take the tree out, but then I lose the beautiful shade, and the birds love this. We hummingbirds nest in here, goldfinches, bush tits, everything. Mockingbirds, hawks. I've got a Cooper hawk right now. She's on her second nest. Last year she had a nest, raised 5 babies. This year I'm not sure how many are in there. So the thing is, I don't want to take away what's here and natural. So I will work with it. It works for me. Of course, if I was a farm trying to make money, yes, you would take all the trees out like they do, have bare land and plant directly in the land. Then you won't have any problems, and then get rid of your gophers if you got gophers, whatever way you're going to do. I think that's going to be really cool when he finishes that. In fact, I'm thinking of planting, I have a whole bunch of pomegranates on my deck. Probably should put some sage here. That's a good place to put some of that sage. Maybe just keep one for a novelty for my pizza garden, and then put the rest of them, because I put a whole bunch of sticks in there and they grew, and have some sage, because as you saw, the squirrels and everything love hiding in it, and that would look really cool against the wall. But that's it, and then I still have to get to this. It's not that it's a lot of work. There's just so much, takes a lot of time, but I'm getting there. And once it's done, it's done. And then I walk back like, well, why is this all done? because it took me nothing to put this together. It was just throwing in extra leaves. I didn't dump any of these except for one because the roots got into one of them from probably the pine tree and the pepper tree. But otherwise, just loading in leaves on the top, dumped kitchen scraps in all of them, and then just topped it with either some potting soil I had or some soil from another tote, and then stuck in all my squash, and I was done. This took me no time. And as far as watering, if that's all I was going to do, that is less than a 5-minute job. Because it's all in a row, you just go there, boom, 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 you're done. And that's how easy it is. Remember, when you're planting your garden, make it easy. Think about it. You don't want to be running over there to water a tote and over there to water something and down the hill, because then you're putting all that time and effort running around. Unless you want to do it, that's fine. But when you put it all together in a row, it makes your life easier. Same thing with the chair. Chair is less than 5 minutes. To be honest, 60 seconds, I can water that entire chair garden with a hose. I've got a hose here. Try to analyze where your water source is. If you want to do it with a watering can, that's fine too. Just make sure you have a big bucket, your watering can. You can have that done in less than 2 minutes. And that's why I like the chair garden, including my rainbow garden. And with that, that's it. So I think I've talked your ear off after I told you I was tired and exhausted from my COVID shot. And I ended up, I think, going almost to an hour, and I wasn't going to. Guess I have more energy than I thought. It helps the garden. And with that, we'll say goodbye to the Cooper Hawks, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.